I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, May the 3rd, brought to you in part by Witex Corporation. Witex provides excellence in animal health, including but not limited to All-American ID tags for all classes of livestock. For more information, go to y-tex.com. Lock the gates. How do we get the momentum back in the negotiated fed cattle market? Lock the gates. But nobody seems to understand that. I don't think there's hardly anybody that would be in trouble if they didn't sell any cattle for 2 or 3 weeks. But these packers would be in trouble immediately if we didn't sell them any negotiated cattle for 2 or 3 weeks. But we've already established a lower market here, all because of the futures market, and the futures market just continues to drive the cash right into the ground off of these big time highs that we've seen. We fell back below your all-time record high in the Southern Plains on Tuesday, early in the week, when there's no reason to be thinking about trading. You need to hang on to the cattle till late in the week to see how things play out. But these packers have been creaming the good cattle from the Northern Plains, and there's just really not any well-finished cattle left up there in the Northern Plains for negotiated purchase there. There's really been no reason to hold on to cattle that were done or finished with the rising market that we've had for the last several weeks and high feed costs. Why has anybody held on to cattle long enough for them to be well finished? I was talking to an insider there at Yankton, South Dakota at Stockman's Livestock Market, at the fat cattle market, where they only had 800 in overnight and 1,000 for the wholesale, which is the lightest run they've had for quite some time. And he said calling that a fat cattle sale was really pushing the envelope. He said there wasn't a lot of fat cattle there. The cattle all look green for the most part. We're not looking like they were going to have a lot of those high choice and prime carcasses that the packers are really looking for. The guy I was talking to noted that at Yankton they draw cattle from a big area. I mean, not just right around there, from a big area, you know, all the way out to Iowa and down around, from regular consigners that bring cattle there, a load or two every week. And a lot of those bigger consigners have run out of fat finished cattle. They've been bringing them on pretty hard and fast during this up market, and they really run out of well finished cattle. And a lot of your regular big consigners were not at Yankton this week because they don't have anything ready. You know, the Southern Plains has already given in. They've already traded way more cattle than they traded all of last week. And that's just Tuesday through 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think, especially in the Southern Plains, but the Northern Plains too, I think maybe they should let some women sell those fat cattle show lists every week. The women, especially whenever we're into fundamentals, where we've got everything in our favor, where we've got really tight supplies of market-ready cattle, not a lot of well-finished cattle there. You know, the packers are short bought. They've got a big demand coming for beef. They're needing to ramp up their slaughter rates because they've been cutting them back quite a bit. And they're making good money on the carcasses like they have been and are right now with the box beef cut up. Values up sharply over the last 2 or 3 weeks. But when things are in the cattleman's favor, I think maybe they should find some women to sell those cattle, sell those show list cattle right there. Women are used to negotiating when they've got all the hand in the relationship. And any of you guys that are married know exactly how that goes. Fundamentally, they always have the leverage in the relationship. So, you know, maybe the men are just not used to negotiating that way. And you know, I kind of liken it to which aren't real popular anymore because of internet dating, but singles bars. You know, the women always in there know that they've got the leverage. Because they're always short on numbers, and they've always got lots of cowboys in there or packer buyers in there looking for especially your top quality kinds The ones that are less desirable, they've already signed some kind of a formula deal, or they've already scheduled themselves in on some type of a grid system there. But the really hot looking women, or the well finished cattle that are out there, they know they're in high demand, and they know how to handle that. They flirt around a little bit. They've always got plenty of buyers chasing them around, and they don't give up easy. Sometimes it takes several weeks to get in there. Sometimes you have to take them out for dinner or a meal or something like that. The cattlemen just don't have any idea how to handle a situation like that. So if you've got well-finished cattle out there, maybe you should get some women out there to sell them, because they're used to negotiating on that side of the ball. You get some men out there like we had on Tuesday, even though they've got finished fat cattle to sell, even though they know that the backer buyers are hungry for those cattle and the fundamentals are in their favor. You give them a couple of drinks or a big basis and a plunging futures market, they're out in the parking lot with their pants around their knees immediately. Let's talk about your board on Tuesday. June live cattle futures down $1.97 at 162.90. We've been thinking that thing is slowly starting to come our way. Nope, 162.90, but still, almost a $10 premium to what they got even in the Southern Plains. Not a premium, but a basis there for them, because it's trading so far back. Can't even really talk about the guys in the Northern Plains. The basis is humongous out there, guys, and any hedge cattle feeder is going to have a hard time. But still, the guys in the Northern Plains hold back because they know they can get more market position. That's even more basis if they sell them at a higher price when the futures are down like this. But August live cattle down $1.70 at 160.95. Your back months on live cattle down $1.50 to down $1.92. Boy, the board was down hard on all your ag products on Tuesday. You can't tell me it doesn't have something to do with the way the Magoo administration has our currency right now, where we're not even sure if we're going to have the world's currency anymore. And you've got these fund managers are looking at the overall view of things, thinking that we're going to lose in the global economy, especially on these ag commodities, because they're just not staying with them, and everything's been down, especially on Tuesday, so hard. And why does it ramp up and get down so hard? Because of the algorithms. Once it gets kind of started one way, then it just rushes that way. But May feeder cattle down $3.75 at 205.95, still trading at a premium to what your cash index levels are. So like I've said before, that May spot feeder cattle contract being down pretty hard doesn't bother me too much when it's still higher than what your cash 800-pound steers are averaging. August, we hate to see it go down. This is what you guys, what's got grass cattle turned out are looking at. August was down $3.92. Ouch. At 226.17. Your back months were all down hard from 380 to 407. You can thank your algorithms for that. May corn was down $1.50 at 638. December new crop corn down 5.5, 519 3/4. May beans down 15 1/4 at 1439.5. November down 7 3/4 at 1267 1/4. Fat cattle had trade on a Tuesday. Now, why in the world would anybody sell cattle on a Tuesday when the board's down hard as hell? Just looking at the basis, it's totally basis jumping, guys. It absolutely is. You'd think the guys would get together, pool their cattle more, and try to hang in there and get some leverage, especially when they know all the fundamentals are in their favor, but they just can't resist that huge basis and dumping the cattle. Iowa sold cattle, but only 4,700. That's not a lot for them, and that's not uncommon for them to sell earlier in the week. They sold them from 172 to 179, which is lower, but they haven't really established a market yet. Your dress sales are looking to hold close to steady at 280. Nebraska sold 2,300 head confirmed on Tuesday early in the day, 176 to 178. And dress sales at 281. Now Kansas sold 10,100 head of finished or fed cattle, probably not well finished, who knows, some of them probably are, but 10,100 head sold early on Tuesday before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's all they hardly ever sell in a week's time, anytime. But 10,100 early Tuesday from 170 to mostly 172. Few dress sales at 280. Texas only sold 4,700 all of last week. On Tuesday they sell 7,000. I've already sold 8,900 head for the week, and live sales in Texas from 171 to mostly all 172. It's just frustrating to watch them give in so easy there. Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota, like I said earlier, they had 800 in overnight, only 1,000 head there total. Conventional sales of just regular fat cattle, steers and heifers, sell from 174.5 to 183.50, and that was $2 to $6 lower. I realize it's better than guys are getting on a direct basis, but it's still $2 to $6 lower in a brick and mortar sale ring there with competitive bidding. But like I said, there just wasn't a lot of real well finished cattle there. Had some drug free and non-implanted program type cattle there. They sell from 180 to 188. That was steady to only $1.50 lower. Box beef cutout values slipped a little bit on Tuesday. Choice was down 78 cents at 309.24. Selects were down 234 at 288.66. Talk about what else is going on. MLS Tubs, which stands for Mid-Continent Livestock Supplements, they're a new sponsor here, and we want to talk about their proven performance. They've got all kinds of tubs for all kinds of needs, and we're gonna kind of spotlight some distributors of theirs different times here whenever we talk about them. Today it's going to be Frenchman Valley Co-op in North Platte, Nebraska. Sits on 402 East 7th Street there, and you can get all your MLS tub needs right there at Frenchman Valley Co-op. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction based on a cash 800 pound on the average steer up through your middle 12 states, laid on Tuesday at 203.78, down $1.46. Your feeder cattle have been real resilient through the first slip up in your fat cattle trade there a couple of weeks ago, but the plunging board and then selling the fat cattle lower on a Tuesday, that's going to kill your cash market, and it basically did. I mean, it's still really high, but it was harder to find stick out sales that people wanted to look at. I want to talk to you about DV Auctions production sales. We do a lot of production sales, purebred bull sales and replacement sales and the like, and that's our bread and butter. We do a lot of them, and a lot more than anybody else or all our competitors put together. But our DV Auction production sale report for April, which is a pretty big month for us, said that we had almost 25,000 bids over dvauction.com bidding in our production sales. Sold more than 4,500 lots on there. That'd be individual bulls or females in our production sales. And the total sales come up to almost $19.5 million. You talk about big time production sales, guys. And if you're having a production sale and you're not having it with DV Auction, you need to pay attention, guys. We have a bigger customer base that have proven buyers there than anybody or all the rest of them put together. Let's talk about your big feeder cattle auctions on Tuesday. How about Rezac Livestock Commission in St. Mary's, Kansas? Look at these loads of 800 to 1,000 pound yearling steers right there. And this is later in the day, after everybody had collected what happened on the board and on the fat cattle trade and everything. Still selling those 800 to 1,000 pound steers from 182.5 to 205.25, and that 205.25 was on a load of 844 pound steers. Impressive market there at Denny Rezac Livestock Commission. Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, had 2,700 head. or thereabouts. They didn't have their market report ready. Had the boss man doing it, and he didn't get it out near as fast as my buddy Dan Hill, and didn't give me an early call like Dan usually does. But it was mostly lower, like all your big sales around. A lot of you guys have said that you enjoy getting some information on replacement type cattle. Well, they had a replacement special at Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota. Had a lot of heifer pairs on there. They'd be top quality, guys. They sell from $2,600 to $3,200 per pair for those heifer pairs. Had a few older pairs, broken mouth pairs. They still bring from $1,835 to $1,910 a pair. The younger bred cows from 4 to 6 years old bring from $1,775 to $1,950. And then they had older bred cows bring from $1,710 to $1,875. Don't forget the Joplin Regional Stockyards is going to have a big special cow pair and bull sale here today on Wednesday. Starts at 4:30 in the afternoon. Get approved and get on to dvauction.com if you're interested in some of those replacements at Joplin Regional Stockyards. Our National Beef Wire, got a different sponsor for our stick out sale of the day. Your National Beef Wire stick out sale of the day was Kingsville Livestock Auction in Kingsville, Missouri. Over 4,000 head for them. Big sale. People were expecting the market to be good. It was good, but it was still lower, guys. It's going to be lower when you take the rug out from under your futures and starts pissing your fat cattle away on a Tuesday cheaper. But you look at it was well tested in many different weights. Look at 444 head of 4-weight steers, average 461, weighted average price 264.88. 500 head of 5-weight steer calves, average 545, weighted average price 247.43. 250 head of 6-weight steers in Kingsville, Missouri, average 639 with an average price of 223.19. 265 head of 7 weights, average 751, weighted average price 209.17. And 295 head of 8-weight steers, Kingsville, Missouri, averaged 873 with a weighted average price of 196.21, which is not bad with those averaging almost 875. Couple of weights of heifers, 459 head of 4-weight heifer calves, average 451 at 231.16, and 373 head of 5-weight heifers, average 542, weighted average price on all those 216.38. Going to give you several individual quotes here. May not be quite as impressive as we've had here the last few weeks. Well, the market's a little lower, but still some very impressive quotes. How about Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma? We're a big supporter of them, and they are of us. 58 steers weigh 895. Might as well say 900 pounds at 198 and a quarter. And that's a big time price, guys, with some steers weighing that, especially in the Southern Plains. How about North Platte Stockyards, North Platte, Nebraska? They sell 71 steer calves, weigh 589 at $2.60 a pound. That's impressive. How about Winter Livestock? This time in Riverton, Wyoming. Winter's got several markets all around, including the barn up there in Riverton. And they sold some feeder heifers, 58 head of them, weighed 685 at $239 on a heifer price going to feed, guys. That's big. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere, your Mackerson No BS top quote for the day, come out of Kingsville Livestock Auction, which was also our stick out sale. It was 118 head of 965 pound steers that bring $190. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.